Hey everybody, so I'm back after a million years. I know I've been gone for a long time, so I guess I'll just count this as like my season 3. So I'm going to explain, or I will tell you what tonight's vlog is about. It's going to be about starter kit relationships, and I'll tell you guys what that is in a moment. But for the first few minutes, I'm going to explain where I've been for 6 months. So I have been like traveling a lot, and back in March I went to final round. So that was fun. I went down south, and it was funny because I actually had a couple people tell me that they watched my vlog, which was awesome. So that was really exciting. I did that. Then I went to Anime Central here in Chicago. It's the one of the biggest Midwest anime conventions, and I actually hosted a panel there for my love blog. So that was really fun. I didn't think I was gonna get it, but they approved it, and I hosted it with my friend Stan Richardson. Some people that know me personally know who Stan is, so that happened. Right after that, I went to UFGTX, the last UFGT. Shout outs to Anna and Keats. And it was awesome. I had a really great time. I played Blaze Blue and got bodied. So there was that. Then I went to Anime Midwest in June. And that was fun. I really just kind of went to hang out with friends. And then a few weeks ago, I went to Evo. So that is what I've been doing all this time. Along the way, it's been a lot of fun. I've definitely traveled a lot more than I thought I was going to the first half of this year. I'm going to be attending YomaCon, and am trying to get a panel there. I've contacted their programming a couple of times. Haven't really heard back. I know it's a big con, so I'm sure they're probably working really hard. So if that becomes possible, I will definitely announce that, and hopefully, people can make it out to that. So we can start with, okay, so my friend Brittany Perkins, I know a lot of Brittany, so that's why I said her last name. She's awesome, and my other friend Ashley and we enjoy watching, we call it trash TV, just because it's entertaining. And we are relatively decent fans of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and all of their like ratchetness and crazy relationships and all this stuff. So my friend Brittany sent me this article on this website called blackgirlsareasy.com, and the title is obviously very jarring and shocking. I'm sure that's probably what he wanted to do. The guy, from what I found, it seems to be one guy that writes the website. It's a blog website, and his name is NC17. And she sent me this article that is specifically called, Do You Put All of Your Eggs in One Basket? And it was referencing to an episode of Love and Hip Hop, which I won't describe. It's irrelevant. But that was where that whole buildup was with the trash TV and everything. So, this article was really good to me, and I read the whole thing. When this is in the archive, I'll post a link to the article and everything. It's long, but it's worth reading. It is very good. So I'm going to talk about kind of a summary of the article, what I think about it, and just what starter kit relationships are. So in this article, he talks a lot about women putting all their eggs in one basket, and why that is probably not the best idea. And like, for example, if one point that he had, he says, the same man that pretty much, okay, so I'll explain what starter kit relationships means first. So starter kit relationships is basically like two people dating, or seeing each other, talking to each other, whatever you want to call it. They're not necessarily serious, but they do serious relationship things with each other, but then are off seeing other people. And in this specific article, he's mostly talking about the guys going off and seeing other people, and the women is kind of left holding the basket like, why doesn't he want me? So we're going to talk about that. In one point of the article, he says, and I quote, the same man you're broken up about will be sad but he'll be fine in a week or two. It's not because a man is cold-hearted. It's because he didn't invest 100% into your stock. He was 40% into you, 20% in with his ex, and who he's still sleeping with, 15% into his new crush that he's been trying off on Instagram, and 25% reserved for in case he meets a girl on Tinder. Relationships end every day. Men can't afford to be left emotionally bankrupt over a girl they were only half sure about in the first place. So I found that very interesting because I think that men, obviously men and women are raised differently. I grew up with three older brothers, and girls are raised differently. Girls are raised to, date one person at a time, be very demure, very, that whole thing. And over years, like from when my brothers were in high school, because my brothers are about 8 to 15 years older than me. So when they were in high school, it was very different for them because they were in high school in the 90s, and it was, that was a whole other time. And then now, like, my little cousin is about 22, so she's kind of like really up in this time of like these new age relationships where people are like not as committal, and it's kind of like a free for all basically. And I feel that a lot of women specifically tend to catch feelings for guys that aren't worth it, and vice versa. That goes for the guys too. If there's a guy who is looking for more commitment and he just happens to fall into with this chick that is, talking to three or four other dudes, So another point that he said that was very interesting that I highlighted, this is probably one of my favorite quotes of the article. He says, "It is romantic suicide to invest in a person that you are not blown away by and sure about." And that goes for men and women. I could not agree with this more. I don't think that you should give husband benefits or wife benefits to people that you are just talking to. Unless you're married, you're single for the most part, or in a long-term relationship. You've been with this person, y'all have been through some stuff, and like you all know each other in and out and are basically married. I think that you have to not necessarily keep your options open, but I think that you kind of have to think logically. And really, really, for women, I think women need to think logically and not emotionally or romantically about people that don't feel the same about them. And he talks in this article also about how, a lot of guys tend to do it these days because, like, I'm sure you all have heard Chris Brown's song, "These Hoes Ain't Loyal." I mean, girls give it up a lot of the time to guys that show them attention. And that's just a realistic thing. It's not like oh, this is bad mouthing girls. It's really just because girls are raised a different way. Like I said earlier, girls are raised to date one person at a time. You date a person and you hope that they're going to like you the same way. There's nothing wrong with that, but dating is almost like this war path now. It's like the battle zone because you have stuff like Tinder, you have hookup sites. Or that's something else I was doing. I joined Match.com for a little while to see how it was, and it was actually really interesting. I obviously never met anyone, but it was just a social experiment that I did with myself to just see. I joined Plenty of Fish. I joined like 4 of them, and on Plenty of Fish, it was only like scummy dudes trying to have sex. On Match.com, I met some interesting people. That seemed like a website where people actually were probably looking for relationships. And then there was another one I joined where it was just like I didn't really get a lot of responses or whatever. And it is interesting how online dating and just like the society that we're in now with like music and popular culture, love and hip hop, like these types of things where there is no commitment to really anything. And, you know, regardless of whether people are being taught that or not is neither here nor there. But it's interesting how that comes about. And if you just put yourself out there to anybody that says that you're cute or, you know, shows you this kind of type of, you know, boyfriend affection, then you will just be alone, because you have to put people in their place. If you're looking for casual sex and there's a person that is, you know, also seems to be looking for that, don't expect that guy to be your boyfriend, because he probably won't. And the same with guys. Don't expect that girl who blows you off and doesn't text you back, you know, that whole thing. Don't expect her to eventually be your girlfriend. You can't make somebody into something that they aren't already. You can't change anything that a person, you know, hasn't already set themselves out to be, especially an adult that is over 25. So more so into this article, he says, on to like what I mentioned earlier, he says a man who isn't sold on you will hold back emotionally because he's looking for something better. Your ego is telling you that you're an A minus, but the guy that you like sees you as a C plus. That's why you're a grown woman stuck in a placeholder relationship. And he does talk a lot about, you know, that whole thing of just kind of making excuses for this guy that is kind of not really treating you like anything. He also talks about, you know, well, what do you, because he gets a lot of questions. Obviously, this website is pretty explosive, and he gets a lot of stuff from women, and they'll say, oh, well, you know, well, what if this guy is messaging me all the time, and it seems like he's chasing me, it seems like he likes me, and he's pretty much like, well, you have to think logically about it again. You can't, I'm going to say this part, because that kind of leads into that. He says, you know, this guy that you have given up all of this stuff to, money, time, affection, who just is not giving you the same, and he's like, oh, well, he'll give you all these excuses. Oh, well, my life isn't in that place right now to be in a relationship with you. You know, my career is more important, or I'm dealing with this stuff with my family. I can't finish this last level of Grand Theft Auto. He literally says that in the article. If stop dealing with all these excuses that you're being given. And that leads into the don't put your eggs all in one basket thing. Don't just wait for somebody. That's probably worse than saying that you don't chase dudes, pretty much. And a lot of girls will do that whole, oh, you know, well, I don't chase anybody. You know, I'm just going to wait for him to come to me. Go on dates. Go and meet people. Talk to people. Even if you just talk to someone casually as a friend, you never know where that could lead. And you can't just wait around for this scummy dude that you think is hot to just kind of like turn around and be like, I'm going to be your Prince Charming one day. Not saying that can't happen. It probably could one day, but you can't bank on that. And that's the whole thing of putting your eggs in other baskets and not just waiting around for some dude to just be like, well, I realized 10 years later that I am ready for you. You just can't do that. So, you know, if you guys have any questions right now, if you guys have any questions, you all can totally start asking me and I'll answer some of you all's questions. But another part of the article that I found very interesting is that he says, new dudes invented exclusive, but not committed relationships, aka a situationship. Because unlike dudes in the 70s, they realized that you don't have to say, be my girlfriend, or you know I love you, in order for a girl to give it up. To give up their, you know, whatever, their vagina, he says it more explicitly in this article, mouth, or money. You can call yourself a friend, his bae, whatever, that makes you feel less guilty about giving it up to him. that will make you feel less guilty about giving it up to the man who won't commit to you. In the end, you're merely a basket holding an egg, and any male over he says over 21 knows that if you give a girl a little love and affection, she will assume the rest of the way, which is very interesting. And I do think that, especially in this day and age, a lot of people do that. And you really kind of, he also says, to continue that a lot of men kind of know if they want to take you more serious within 2 weeks of knowing you, sometimes probably a little longer. But if they see something in you, you know, you will be able to tell. It's not really just a thing of, oh, well, I'm just going to wait for 6 months and then wonder why we're still doing the same thing over and over again. If a guy wants to be with you, he will have done that by that time. Some people get married in 6 months. So you waiting to even be in a relationship for 6 months is ridiculous. Don't do it. Men don't do it. Women don't do it. Don't wait around for people that aren't worth it. And pretty much what I got from this article is he's saying, date around. Don't in this society, women don't date multiple people at the same time because it's that whore stigma or whatever. And men do date multiple people. And it's not, it's not a thing of right or wrong. We live in the era of Sex and the City and, like all of these openly sexual shows, movies, friends with benefits stuff. And not saying that everyone you date you should have sex with. That would be, I mean, if that's your prerogative, whatever. But, just saying that. But I think that, keep your options open. And if there is a person who is expressing his interest in you, he will make that known to you. It's not going to be this chase. It's not going to be a thing of, oh, well, I'm going to wait for him while he finishes school to decide to be with me or, or finishes playing this game or whatever. It's not going to be excuses. And I think that's what it comes down to. If there are like multiple excuses for things besides like something like distance, what are you waiting for? These are things that you just have to use common sense. And I can't explicitly say that enough, but I don't think that common sense is very common for some people, unfortunately. But, it's just one of those things. And I would like to see what you guys think about it, because I'm interested to see all the questions and everything. And, go ahead and ask away. I adore you too, Lord Hollow.
We actually have 1 or 2 questions.
Okay.
But I think one thing, if I was just gathering from what you were saying, I think if you were like translating it to like layman's terms for just women, it's like, don't get emotionally invested in one single solitary person.
Exactly.
It's like you can meet other people, be cool with them, and see how you might see yourself in a relationship with that. But I think he makes a very good point in that women see one guy, even though they know a ton of guys, and emotionally invest in this one guy
dude
based on like very little.
And who so is not dating
and he's not necessarily dating.
Yeah.
She goes through like, I made you dinner, I brought you this, I brought you that. And
why don't you want me?
I think what he's saying is you test the waters and then find the one that not only do you match up with, but you match up with, and he starts to be like, so when's your birthday?
Right.
Can I take you to this? And it becomes a bit more personal.
Exactly. Because he does mention in the article that men are naturally hunters. Men do like the chase, but you shouldn't assume that, oh, well, I'm going to just wait because I don't be chasing dudes. You can't do that because then you'll be single.
Yep.
And, you have to put things in their place. If you are ready for a relationship and you are looking for a relationship or whatever, sometimes relationships just happen. It's not really something that you plan. And I think that is also another problem that women do tend to come across. That, they think that, they'll just wait and then this perfect guy is going to come in riding a horse and it'll be Disney-like. And that doesn't happen. If it does, it's probably happened for maybe one person in the past, 1,000 years. So it's just, you have to remember the time period that you're in. So, okay.
Corey is asking, at what point, like paradigm shifted
Hmm.
relationships, dating?
Okay. At what point did relationships slash dating become so problematic and dysfunctional, or is that too broad? I don't think it's too broad. I think that, you know, like what I was saying earlier, I think it is just a change of generation. Our parents were different. My parents had all me and all my brothers by the time they were like 35. They had been married for years, and that's a different time. They grew up in the 60s and the 70s, and stuff was different. It didn't cost $1 million to go to school. You could get a good paying job, you could have a family, start a family, buy a house, all of this regular stuff. And then generationally, it has changed. Like what I was saying, my brothers grew up in the 90s. That time period is different from how me and Kevin grew up. Or even now, my little cousin is in a totally different generation. So, it is that time barrier. And I think that's what has changed. And, I think that's the period where maybe certain things became more popular, like having a side chick and all of this kind of stuff. People let media think for them instead of thinking for themselves and just taking celebrities' words for words and not oh well, I'm gonna live by that. I'm gonna live by what Kanye West does, or what all of these other silly kind of things. I think there was another question.
Riot EXC was just kind of pointing out like the differences, or I guess, in male female relationships has been like before we were born, not
Oh,
necessarily something. It's always something that has
right.
changed. That's something he was pointing out.
I miss you too, Wardell. Heart. But no, yeah, I definitely think that people, like a lot of people, kind of in the younger generation, like they see the whole Chris Brown thing, and also things like TMZ and all that kind of stuff. Dysfunctional relationships, even dysfunctional friendships, are so heavily documented all the time that it's normal now. Kim Kardashian having what, 3 marriages, uh, Chris
And
Brown
when you
and
talk about Kim
Rihanna.
Kardashian, they almost try to make you forget that shit, the other shit that
Yeah,
happened.
exactly. They do try to make you forget that she was married to 2 other
Yeah.
dudes. And it's
Like I
it,
feel like when Kanye did the whole proposal, her family should have just been like, "Oh, again."
again, right? And so, if, like, okay, talking about Kim Kardashian, just for an example, think about the time period that Marilyn Monroe was alive. Marilyn Monroe had 2 husbands. She had 2 or 3 husbands. Apparently, had an affair with JFK. She was a Hollywood diva. When you see stuff, I don't think you can go anywhere and not find merchandise of Marilyn Monroe. She was that in her time, but no one knew about it because there wasn't TMZ. Imagine if there was TMZ in the 1950s. Like, it would have been some totally different stuff. People found out about all of this undertone, people having multiple wives and all this other crazy stuff back then after these people were dead. And now we find out about these kinds of things as it's happening. And I think media has a lot to do with why relationships have become so openly dysfunctional over time. I live with a dysfunctional relationship, but it ain't my drama. That's funny. Yeah, you all can go ahead and ask questions. I am opening the floor for questions, questions, questions. Oh, that is funny what Corey said. If Beyonce did it, I'm gonna do it too. I saw this tweet the other day where this girl was like, "You have females up in the club talking about single ladies, but Beyonce left those lonely hoes and went home to her husband." And I just thought it was really funny. But I mean, you can't live your life on a motto. You just can't. Like, it's Beyonce realistically, made a song and then got married to her longtime boyfriend and they had a baby. So, you can't be like, oh, well, that happens. So for these celebrities, so it can happen for me too. And you just really have to separate media from real life. And that goes for Match.com. That goes for all of these. What is the one that they show on TV? It's not Match. eHarmony. Yeah, all of that has commercials now. And we have over 10,000 successful relationships. It does work for some people, clearly. And I'm not saying the internet relationships don't work, but, it doesn't work for everybody. And you never take someone else's story and use it as your own because it doesn't work. Everyone's individual situation is different. Somebody may, get back with the love of their life that they broke up with in college 4 years later and get married. Somebody may, break up with somebody that they were heartbroken over and then find a new person that they get married to the next day. You never know. Everyone is different. So yeah, questions, guys. How many people are watching, by the way? I'm just interested to see.
We got 13.
Okay, cool. Thanks, you 13 people. Riot EXE says successful relationships to them equals went on one date.
Kind of like Orange is the New Black.
Right. Exactly. Anyone that doesn't know, like, the ominous voices on the side, it is Kevin Fair who helps me film this every time I film it. Big ups to IPG. I really appreciate it. And Brianna. So we're all just kicking it. Yeah, I mean, if you all have any questions, that would be interesting. Starter kit relationships.
Who uses, because there's apps for it now.
I thought you were going to say who uses a condom.
That's
more of a starter. That's more of a starter. No. That's a super starter kid relationship right there.
Relationship stock market. Sugar and Spice says, here's a rather inflammatory question. What's your opinion of people who blame social media for their relationship issues?
Ooh, that's some real shit right there.
Yeah, that is
that's
real.
Real spit done.
Social media, it is really funny because I do think that social media ruins relationships and creates relationships. It just depends on how much stock you choose to put into the internet. The internet is a veil of people to be whoever they want to be without being face to face with you. So they say whatever they want. And, I think in some situations it can be valid to blame the internet. But, again, going back to putting all your eggs in one basket, if dude really wanted to be with you, he wouldn't be talking to other females on Facebook trying to hook up.
Or not even so much just that. Like, you know how sometimes a young lady will get upset, or even a guy will get upset by seeing, the attention that
he liked your picture.
And it's like,
yeah.
But you let somebody outside your relationship
dictate
exactly
how
the relationship is going.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you can't do that. And, and I also think, honestly, and not to say that this can't work for some people, but I also think a lot of it is young people getting into serious relationships when they're so young. And then, there are kids in 8th grade on Facebook now. I joined Facebook when it was like only college students could join it. And now, everybody's on it. So, people really let social media run their lives, and it's an unfortunate trap that everyone falls into. At one point or the other, I fell into it before, but then you grow up and you're like, that shit isn't important anymore. So, that's one of those kind of things. Sweetly Devious says, not a question, but could you imagine how easier it would be if people still had to pay their parents or to date their child? Let's see someone play around with putting 3 goals and some apples into the relationship. That's pretty funny because I did have a boyfriend that asked my father if he could take me out on a date. And it was just really, and my parents were shocked. They were like, that still happens? So it was just, so that was really funny. And I think you know, if you hold yourself a certain way with someone that you're interested in, they will treat you that way. But again, you cannot force someone to be with you that doesn't want to be with you. And, every situation is different. Some people like being casual. Some people have open relationships. There are so many combinations to love, it's not even funny. So I just think that, you have to realize the situation you're in. If you are married, that's obviously some other stuff besides different. That's obviously different than someone who's like, we've been talking for 3 weeks and we have already had sex and, had a hotel room downtown together and, I'm cooking him dinner and all. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not, it doesn't really work out that way. What's up, CJ version 1? Let's see. Okay, Riot EXE has a question. If you're constantly rejected by those who you want to date, even some who you didn't, with the reasoning of them being too scared to lose you, does it basically mean that according to the world, you're too awesome to date? um, you know what? I think that is an interesting situation. The people, I did a whole other episode on rejection and like the last season, I guess season 2. But yeah, it's, I don't think that those people are really kind of worth your time. I also think that it can be location wise. Sometimes, if you go to a different area, you may meet some people that like you more than you could have ever imagined. It's just finding that person that's right for you. I don't think you should wait around and constantly worry about what these other females do. If you're putting your into it and you have made it apparent that you're interested in them and they're just kind of playing games, be like, well, I'm going to put this egg in this basket and push it over here under the table and then go and look for some other people. It's just that kind of thing. So, oh, Corey. But, yeah, Laura Hollis says everyone likes me. I think that is inherently true.
I would have to agree with that, Kevin.
Brianna also agrees. But yeah, you just can't like wait for people to make these decisions. And this guy or NC-17 targeted this article for women waiting for having these placeholder relationships. But this goes for men too. Don't like wait around for these females to like make up their mind because they could easily be playing the game. And I think that that's the problem, that some people don't understand that there is a game, regardless of it being stupid. I don't believe in playing games with people. If you're really interested in them, what's the point of that? You might as well just be like, I like you or I don't like you. Don't lead people on. Don't send mixed messages. It's a waste of time and it can hurt people. Why? That's just messed up. But, don't wait around for people to make up their mind. If they decide that they miss you down the line, then they'll contact you, male or female. And that's really just what it comes down to. When you make yourself less available, then you'll be surprised about the people that hit you up. So, Green Lantern 99 says, Mel, what solution can counteract the dysfunction as the new normal, or is there an answer at all? I don't know. I really think that people, people kind of do their own thing, and YOLO and all of that stuff that's popular now have a thing. So, I think that the answer to it would probably really just be to focus on yourself, because that's kind of a lot of what this article was expressing and what I really agree with. Pay attention to what you're doing. Focus on what you're doing. If you happen to be looking for love on the side, that's cool, but don't let it throw you off of your game of like your real life. Treat it like, I don't know what I could use as an analogy for that. Kind of treat it like it's something in passing. Don't ignore anyone that's talking to you romantically. Make, like polite chatter. But I've learned that like when you just focus on yourself and you just keep going towards what you're going towards, your goals and or whatever you're trying to do in life, those people that are just interested in you will come up. You don't have to look for them, whether you're a man or a woman. Like it, people will tell you that they like you. It, someone will. It's just one of those things. And I don't think you can. I don't think there's an answer to the dysfunction. I think the dysfunctional people have spoken, and they are on TMZ and on YouTube and all of these, Facebook. They're all on Facebook, and if they choose to be dysfunctional, that's just what they're going to continue to do until they keep realizing that it's not working. And, you kind of can't help people like that. Sweetly Devious says, love is the bonus, not the goal, basically. I think, I don't think it is the bonus necessarily. I mean, you have some people that are like hopeless romantics that just chase love and that's like their thing. That's fine, but you cannot change other people. You can only change yourself. And I don't think that you should go into situations that seem rocky in the beginning and expect for it to have a different outcome, because it more than likely won't have another outcome. Go into situations with people that obviously express their attraction towards you, and then you place it in the proper area, whether they're expressing their attraction towards you because they're interested in sleeping with you, or they're expressing their interest in you because they're interested in dating you. Those are two different things, and that is something that I think a lot of people don't recognize, to be honest. Let's see. Riot EXE says the dysfunctional will steady stay dysfunctional. They know that they need to break from a relationship, but they never will because they don't know how to be single. Exactly. And he actually did say that in this article. That's funny that you mentioned that because I didn't even read it. But no, yeah, that's very true. And I do think that the whole situationships and the starter kit relationships, all that stuff, I think people do it so heavily because they are just afraid to be alone, which there's nothing wrong with that because humans need companionship. That's just a natural human thing. But sometimes you gotta roll with the punches, go to movies by yourself. You gotta do stuff by yourself sometimes. You go to sleep alone. There's no one in your head with you when you're asleep. Like it's you die alone. So it's just those kind of things. Like when you are comfortable with being by yourself, with having the genuine compassion of another person, then you will get more genuine people. But you also just kind of have to figure out the situation you're trying to be in. Are you looking for casual sex, or just like someone to hang out with, or are you looking for a relationship? And you have to just kind of like put those people in that place. So RightEXE also says, it seems people expect relationships to be a chore. There has to be fighting. There has to be a struggle. Why? If you two work, why expect drama? That's also true. And I do think that a lot of women specifically, if something is too good to be true, they think that it just is. Like, oh, this guy is like Prince Charming, or, like they're thinking of this Disney World thing. And some people are scumbags and they may lie to you. That's up to your discretion. You kind of have to figure that out. No one can really hold your hand through that. Talk to your friends about it. Bring it up in a situation. But I also think that, sometimes if someone is just being real with you, take it for what it is. If someone wanted to lie to you, they kind of just could. Like, you don't have to fight. You don't have to, have all these terrible situations. People have long marriages when they realize that fighting over small stuff and, unnecessary shit is a waste of time. That takes away from just, coexisting. Because when you're in a relationship, you're in a partnership. It's not just one person is up here and the other person is down there. And if you're in that situation, you're wasting your time.
I think that's the biggest issue. People get into relationships for the happy feelings and the love, as opposed to being in a partnership.
Exactly. Yeah, and I do think that you have to look at it for what it is. That guy might be hot, but he might be a scumbag. So you just kind of, or that chick might, she might have a big butt or what, all of this stuff, but she might not be worth more than an hour of your time, depending on whatever you're using her for. You just kind of have to place those people in. Brianna said, I think that, or Sweetly Devious said, what did she say? Referring to Brianna. Brianna said, she thinks that is a lot of the problem, that people get in relationships looking for lovey-dovey for feelings and for a way to not be alone, versus being in a partnership with a person that is their road dog. That's their person that's there with them no matter what. Because someone that really loves you will be with you through a lot of stuff, regardless of however you look, you feel. And actually, just to get back to this article for 1 minute, you all can keep typing questions, but he also said, that a lot of women will do these things trying to be the perfect. They'll burn their hair off and, try to not eat and try to lose weight, try to do all this stuff for an image of what they think is Miss Perfect, when in reality, you're just being a regular female. Like, something that makes a person get into a relationship is what they see in you past, after they've looked at you for 5-10 minutes, after they've looked at your pictures on Facebook, after they see your boob picture or your whatever picture. If they choose to talk to you after that and they get to know you, that's someone who typically is probably interested in you. It's not, you don't have to do, like, people aren't looking for supermodels to be in relationships with. They're looking for someone that shares the same things as them and has the same goals, usually, has the same, outlook on life as them, someone who they can coexist with. Sugar and Spice said, and then there are probably goofy people that like to create drama, so they'll have something exciting to tell their friends. That's also true. And those people, it's just, it's really just like a sad situation. I don't really understand why anyone chooses to do that, but a lot of people do. And then they fall for the trap of, oh, well, he told me he was doing this, and then he turned around and hooked up with this other chick. Why are you surprised? Because you didn't say that you were any different from anyone else. You have to make yourself known to the opposite person, what your intentions are, what you want to do, all of that. Communication is key, like I always say. CJ version 1 says, so in this day and age where social media rules the land, what do people call a relationship nowadays? It's complicated. Like that, I wrote this status the other day about, like, I was like, people still use the "it's complicated" option on Facebook, and I was like, you're not in a relationship. But I just really think that that's true. I mean, I feel like there's not really a name for relationships. Or those type of things. People have made up all kinds of, like, side chick, all that kind of stuff. But I think that if you are in a relationship, it is known. And you don't have to put it on Facebook for people to know. I mean, it would just be apparent. If you're in a relationship, you tell people that you're in a relationship. It's not like this hidden thing. And, sometimes people put it on Facebook just because, for the likes or whatever, just because they want other people to know. But, people let social media rule their lives too much. And your whole life doesn't need to be on the internet. It just doesn't. You don't have to tell all your business. Some stuff you could just keep to yourself, even a relationship. Really the only... I mean, I think the only stuff that's, like, kind of major to put on Facebook that's relationship-wise is if you got married. Like, I mean, if you're switching up your relationship every couple of months, it's not really special anymore. So, yeah, I think that is about it, unless anyone has any last-minute questions. I hope you all liked my comeback. I worked really hard on this one, actually. Yeah, sorry I've been gone for so long, but I will be back soon with this. It's towards the end of June now, so probably the beginning of August with something new. And yeah, you all can look up that article on the website. Is called blackgirlsareasy.com. It's all one word, and the specific article or the blog entry is called "Do You Put All Your Eggs in One Basket?" The guy who wrote it is NC-17. It was very interesting, and thanks, Brittany, for giving me that article. I really appreciate it, and yeah, and you all can definitely send me messages on ask.fm if I didn't answer anything. My it's ask.fm /MoxXie Peachez. You could ask me on Facebook, whatever. Even if you have like something for my next topic, I'm open to that too. But thank you guys for watching. Everyone that watched the whole time, you all are the greatest. And people that came and even saw a little bit, I totally appreciate it. And this archive will be up probably tomorrow. So check back in. Thank you. Bye, guys.